Hi, Britta. Thanks for joining us on the podcast today.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Oh, you're so welcome. Where are you based in the US?
I'm based in Atlanta, Georgia.
Ah, okay. So on the East Coast. So have you got some cold
Yes.
weather there at the moment?
Last weekend was incredibly cold. I can't even tell you out of nowhere. And it's supposed to get nicer again. So my daughter was asking if she can wear shorts tomorrow. And I was like, girl, let me check the weather, but I think we're almost there again.
That's good. That's good. Yeah, because you're coming into your summer. Um,
Yeah.
do you do most of your swimming indoors in Georgia, or can you be outdoors swimming?
Yes, you would think, right? Georgia, pretty weather, but it does get cold in the winter. And actually, most of the nice pools, including Georgia Tech, where the Olympics were in 1996. They're all covered pools, so indoor pools. I also train at an indoor pool, and that's why I like to go to the lake on Saturday sometimes and just soak up the sun and be outside and just swim in a different environment.
Nice. Do you do many open water swims, or are you mainly focused on the pool?
Absolutely not. I'm actually not an open water swimmer at all. It's kind of COVID got me into it, to be honest. The pandemic, all the pools shut down. Although we were incredibly lucky in Atlanta that pools only shut down for about, I would say, 6 weeks. So it really wasn't long compared to other countries. I know Australia was closed for a very long time, and I'm originally from Germany. And some pools are still not open over there, which is
Ah,
crazy. Yes.
crazy.
So different world over here, but that's how I started going to the lake more. I mean, here and there over the last few years in the off season, I would go to the lake because I do have a lot of master swimming friends and they're totally into open water and they kind of do the pool swimming because they have to because, you can't swim the lake year round. But last year, yeah, we started swimming at the lake and I think it was 50 degrees Fahrenheit. The headache came pretty quickly. But once it hit about 55, we could really swim like 2 miles. And I was actually proud of myself that I did it. I tried a wetsuit once and I hated it. And I decided I would just suck it up and be cold and swim without one.
Oh, it sounds great. I know. Well, a lot of people love that cold water swimming without wetsuits, and I think once you sort of get over the initial face freeze, it is really invigorating.
Absolutely. And as you said, I was never a big open water swimmer. Actually, growing up, my mom had to force me to go swim in a lake, or I would just panic and get out. And she's like, "You're such a good swimmer. What are you doing?" I was like, "I don't know what's underneath me. I can't see. There's no black line. There's no wall."
And there's all
But I
yucky.
do. I do appreciate it these days because it's just a change of scenery. And, sometimes you need it with everything going on in life.
Yeah, absolutely. When did you get your last pool session in?
I actually swam over lunch today. So it is 7:30 p.m. in Atlanta right now. So sometimes if work allows, I try to swim over lunch. And that was today. I took a nice hour and a half lunch break and jumped in the pool.
Oh, nice. What do you do in your professional life?
I work if you want to say it like that, as a college recruiter. So I help international student athletes find mainly swimming scholarships in the US and college. And it's a lot of fun. We're Germany based and we're totally remote. So I work from home. So there's a lot of flexibility in my job, which is great for my busy life in between swimming and family and everything else going on. And yeah, I love it because I get to combine my passion of swimming with my work.
Yeah, that sounds like a great job. Do the athletes you get coming over from Germany, do they get a chance to come and do a sort of a visit and decide where they want to go, or do they do it all from Germany and don't know till they get to the US?
It's parts. If time allows, it's mainly how early do you start your recruiting process? Do you have time to jump on the plane? Is the school paying for your flight, or do you have to pay your own trip? So there's a lot of factors that play into that. Um, I just jumped on the plane back in the day and I was like, well, I hope this is going to go well. Fingers crossed. But yeah, I guess I'm just looking at with 2022. I guess it's been 16 years almost later. I'm still in the US. So yeah, it did went well for me.
Well, for you, what college did you have your scholarship at?
I swam at the University of Miami in Florida.
Oh, lovely. Oh, that's really
Yeah.
nice. Who was coaching on that team at the time?
The coach there was Christy Shifshunas. She actually came in with me. As she was not the first coach that recruited me in there. So it was even like a little bit, oh, I don't know who you are, but I really like the school. Whatever, I'll come. Had a great time. Christy actually lives right outside Atlanta. So from time to time, I get to see her, which is fantastic. I love my collegiate network for that reason. And still being here and still working in it, I still, yeah, it's just nice to still have the people that I've been in touch with back in the day. And now in my professional life, I can use those contacts
Yeah,
and connections.
absolutely. And how did you springboard from college swimming into master swimming? Tell us about that journey and how you discovered master swimming.
Yeah, interesting. I had no idea master swimming existed, as most of us don't do, right?
True.
So when I was down in college, I we stayed in Miami. My now husband and we stayed in Miami another year. I got my master's degree. He started to work, and then we moved to Atlanta because of his job. He got moved here, and I had just graduated my master's degree. I was like, I'm looking for a job. Where do I start? And the quickest way to find anyone that you're connecting with is swimming. So I reached out to a bunch of swim coaches. I was like, Atlanta is the swim hub in the Southeast. And I actually ended up at Emory University, and I started as a volunteer assistant coach for the varsity team. And the head coach there, John, he said, we also have a great master's team. How about you coach them and you can actually make some money coaching them? And during my master's degree, I started running. I was like, I need a little break of swimming. So I started running, and swimmers shouldn't run. Didn't go over so well. Actually, a year later, actually, right when we moved to Atlanta, I had surgery on my ankle
Oh,
for
no.
arthritis. Never knew I had this until I started running. So
Uh,
please, if you're a swimmer, don't run ever.
that's right.
We don't do well on land.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, first of all, my surgeon was like, just stick with swimming. When I was like, when can I run again? He's like, stick with swimming in your life. And then I was at the pool anyway, and I started doing rehab at Emory as well. They have a fantastic physical therapy department, obviously. And I started doing aqua jogging, like, the strength again. And I just kept floating up and being in swimming position every time again. And I was like, well, I guess that's it. And so more and more, coaching the masters team, I started making those connections. I was like, this is actually fun. Wait, there's something after collegiate swimming. And eventually I got the itch again. And I was like, I want to jump back in. So instead of coaching the team, I started jumping back in and started swimming again. And in 2011, USMS US Master Swimming National Championships were in Auburn, and Auburn is only about a 90-minute drive from Atlanta. And I was like, I want to go there. I want to check this out. And while you don't need to have qualifying times for nationals, you can always swim 3 events. Like, no matter if you've ever done a meet. I was like, I want to see if I can even swim with my 1 foot. I was still not, 100%. I couldn't really do a dive. I couldn't push off the wall with 2 legs. So I went to Greenville in South Carolina, which is 90 minutes in the other direction. Did my first master's meet. My poor husband was his first meet ever. He's like, I'm never going to come again. This is boring. This is not collegiate swimming.
Old people.
He's like, wow. I mean, impressive that they still compete, but wow, that took a long time. I was like, yeah, well, I mean, if you're 80 and you still swim, I think you can be very happy.
Yeah.
Obviously, coming from collegiate competition, it's different. It's big difference.
Yeah, big difference.
Yeah, so I went to Auburn, and I actually did really well. I won my events, and I was like, wait, I'm actually still pretty good at this. And that really gave me the edge to be like, all right, I guess I'm just going to keep training, and I like this community and I love it. And yeah, that was pretty much my start into US Master Swimming.
Wow. What do you like best about the master swimming community? Like, what do you get from it?
Friendships. I always say I'm not a practice person. I hate practice. Don't tell anyone. I hate practice. I love competing though. Don't we all? I love competing and I love winning. And I know I need to practice for that. But I love going to practice to see the people. I love making those connections. My best friends here are all swimmers that I actually got to know once I moved to Atlanta and joined Master Swimming. Those are all women that, have the same passion, and you know how it is. Sometimes life gets in the way and you train a little more and you compete a little more, and then life gets busy and you train a little less and you compete a little less, and then you come back, or you're about to age up and you just sit out for a year. That happens too. But I just love it for the social aspect, for the connections that you make, for the community.
Yeah, it's absolutely wonderful in that respect, and I think also having those cross age groups, so you can have
Yeah.
someone who's much older or much younger in the lane with you, and it sort of keeps you in touch with different generations and
Yeah.
different perspectives in life as well. I think that's really a lovely part of master swimming.
Absolutely. I mainly train with guys, and just today at practice, I was the only girl on our side of the pool. It's kind of like, how you stagger the lanes from one side of the pool to the other side. And I was the only girl on our side. And you don't even think about it, because you're all just there and swim. And it doesn't matter if, what gender you are, whatever you identify at, like, it doesn't matter. We're all swimmers.
Yeah, that's right. Give us a bit of an insight into a typical training week for you when everything's going right. I know you've got some young children as well, so the work,
Mhm.
family, life balance, and swimming is often hard, as you sort of mentioned. But what's a typical training week look like?
Mhm. Typical training week is I try to get in the water 3 times a week. And I really noticed that my body can't really handle a lot more. And because I also learned that quality over quantity, I'd rather go only 3 times a week to practice and really give it my all and really have a very good practice. And then I need a day to recover from that before I can go back. We're all getting older. And it's funny because when I talk to people that was like, oh my God, you train every day. I was like, I don't. And I don't know how to prove them wrong, but they don't believe me. But I only train 3 times a week. And I adjust that based on my kids' school schedule or on my husband's work schedule. So for a while it was Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Right now it's Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, sometimes Saturdays. And like I said, hopefully I can throw the lake swim in again starting next month. The lake is warm enough to swim without a big head freeze. Yeah, but that's a typical swimming week for me. So Monday, Wednesday, Friday right now. And then I try to hit the weight room once a week. And I'm actually lying when I say weight room. When I go to the weight room and just be by myself, I can't do this anymore. So I actually take a weightlifting class. It's called Body Pump.
Body pump, yeah.
Yeah, everyone knows it, I think, but I love it. It's music. There's an instructor in the front. For an hour, someone tells me what to do.
I hear you.
and
Yeah.
honestly, that's what I do once a week. And then also someone I've known through my previous job, she started through the pandemic like home workouts, and if I can make it throughout the week, it's HIIT, so high intensity interval training, 30 minutes, and you would think you have 30 minutes, right? And the time runs away from you, but I do try to incorporate that to once a week.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. That's interesting. The more
Mhm.
people I speak to, the more I'm hearing this very same story where you come back to swimming, you might have swum as a age group or at college, and now you have that gap in between your training sessions to give your body a chance to recover. And I think that's
Mhm.
really important. You don't have to go back to the kind of training that you were doing during college, double
Yeah.
days and racing every weekend, because you've got so many other things in your life as well. So I think that that's a thing that master swimmers sort of need to maybe get into their mind, that recovery is part of the whole training program as well.
Absolutely. And I think as we get older, obviously we benefit a lot from all the training we've done back in the day. I don't think, we would be able to swim on a high level with 3 times a week training. And yeah, still be fast, fast in, parentheses, because whatever fast is for you, everyone has a different interpretation about it. And that's the great thing about masters too. But yeah, I personally definitely benefit from back in the day when I trained 10 times a week in the water and every day in the weight room or some kind of dry land. And but I gotta admit that back in the day, I didn't listen as much to my body as I do now. And actually thinking back, I it's hard to put into words, but I still feel like that I might have never reached my peak because I never given my body enough rest to really peak, when I was at like my fastest. And I think that's also the itch that I still have, and say, I have the feeling I never was as fast as I could be in my life. And that's, I think, why I still swim. And it's funny because I know I will never reach those times again, yes, but I'm actually surprisingly close. Sometimes I touch the wall and I was like, wow, I was only 2 seconds faster, 3 seconds faster in 100 breaststroke when I trained 10 times a week, so it's kind of mind blowing when you think back. And yeah, I've been talking to my mom a lot about it. She was an Olympic rower, and I was like, when did you know, you're done? And she's like, well, I went to Montreal to the Olympics and we got fifth. And then I think 2 years later was the World Championship, and they built the team around me and another girl. And in the final, I felt numbness going up my spine. And I knew that was it. That was like everything my body had that I got out of it. And at that point, I knew that was it. I couldn't get better. And I was like, see, and I never had that. Yeah.
Are you swimming the same events and distances that you did back in college? Or have you swapped a little bit?
I swapped here and there a little bit. I was always very versatile. So I came into college as a backstroker, IMer, and I kept flip-flopping between backstroke and breaststroke, which is a very weird mixture. And I always had the IM. Yeah. And so when I came into college, I did 100 back, 200 IM mainly. And then actually, after my second year in college, I flipped to like 200 IM, 100, 200 breaststroke. And then I also started swimming the freestyle relay. So now in masters, my events are my main events are the 200 the 200 IM, the 200 breaststroke, and I actually got a lot better in the 100 breaststroke. I had a good coach that kind of taught me how to swim faster, just to have a faster turnover in breaststroke. And I actually swim with a program that's very freestyle heavy. We have a lot of triathletes. So I'm actually very good in 100 freestyle, although I would never consider that my main event. And I enter it, even at World Championships, Masters, Worlds, I entered it because I don't care about it. So it's kind of like my race, or even a 50 free, to get my nerves out of the way to start the meet.
Fun race that doesn't mean as much to you. So the pressure's off, isn't it?
Yeah. And I mean, I still want to do well, but I don't think it's as much as the 200 breaststroke, 200 IM, where I look at the times and I really look at the competition and who is there. And I look at records, if I can break any. And the 100 freestyle, I was like, all right, let's see what we can do.
That's fantastic. Now, you just had some great FINA World Top 10 finishes.
Thank you.
Came out, was it last week or the week before? And obviously this year's Fukuoka Championships in Japan are put off till next year. Do you see yourself heading to Japan and competing there next year?
Absolutely. I actually had my flight booked. I had my hotels booked for Fukuoka. I was ready to go. My husband was ready to come with me. We actually wanted to make it a 10th anniversary trip right afterwards. Japan has been on our bucket list for a very, very long time. And hey, a world championship there is another bucket list item. So we wanted to combine the two. So we'll definitely just postpone the trip, because third time is a charm for Fukuoka, right?
Yeah, I hope so.
I hope so too. The bad thing in masters is we just get older, so I'm not quite at at the top of my age group next year, but I'm almost at the top. So I'm like, "Argh." Now I got to look who's aging up. So
Yes, I know. I was when it was postponed from last year, and I was looking at going this year. I age up this year as well, and I was thinking that's great, but another year, we'll see what happens.
yeah, yeah. And I was really hoping for FINA to, find something else, but I also understand there's European Masters Championships in Rome, and then there is Masters Pan Ams in Medellin, Colombia. And actually, Pan Ams are open for anyone. You don't even have to swim for example, for Europeans, for European club. So even from Australia, I mean, you could swim Pan Ams without changing your club. And that was one of the reasons why FINA said we don't have to do anything for your Masters. I feel like a stepchild, but okay.
Yeah, we're the unlucky person at the back of the line, aren't we? The master.
I have the feeling we're just kind of like the FINA tag-alongs, but I'm glad we're there and I'm glad we're part of it. And
Absolutely.
actually, funny story. I'm also on the USAS board by now as a USMS athlete representative, so I hear a lot more about this. And there's actually a lot going on within FINA that is not masters, where we still have to vote on, but I love it. I mean, I'm a sucker for those things. I was like, I want to know what's going on in water polo and in diving and in swimming and artistic swimming. Yeah, give me all of it.
Yeah, fantastic. And will you go to the Pan Ams this year then?
I will not be going. I'm actually traveling throughout Europe with my family. I'm originally from Germany, so we try to spend all our summers in Germany to first expose the kids to the language a little more, also obviously see friends and family, and we love Europe.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Have you been back since COVID's happened, or will this be your
I
first?
Yeah, I have. I actually traveled back last April by myself. It was still at the height of the pandemic. Since I'm a dual citizen, I was able to fly back and forth without a problem. They have to let you in as a citizen. But I went by myself because we weren't sure how it works with the kids. And it's always a bigger thing. If you get stuck somewhere by yourself, it's easier than if you have two kids with you. So that was a fantastic week. And yeah, my husband just bought me a ticket. He's like, I can't hear it anymore that you miss your family. Here, you need to go. And we went over Christmas, everyone together, and it was the first time my kids saw their grandparents in 2.5 years. So it was really, really good. So we're also really looking forward to the summer.
Yeah, absolutely. What part of Germany are you originally from?
I'm from South Germany near Stuttgart. It's kind of like when you go from the border of Switzerland an hour north.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And did you ever think of staying there and swimming? What's the college system like in Germany for swimmers?
Yeah, actually, collegiate athletics don't exist in Germany. And when also high school athletics don't exist. So when I grew up, my hometown, it's called Tübingen. We have a big university, actually, University of Tübingen, that lots of international students come to. That's why people might have known or might have heard about it. I don't know. So after 10th grade in high school, I moved to Heidelberg. They have an Olympic training center there for swimming. So I boarded there for 3 years. So I graduated after 13 years in high school. And I actually started college in Germany because it was like, well, here, University of Heidelberg, fantastic university. I train at the Olympic Training Center. What else do I need? But it wasn't for me. I just could not find a way to really combine going to school and swimming. They don't cooperate. So, you either a student at university and that's what you do 100%, or you're a swimmer and that's what you do 100%. And if you do both, you're kind of like sitting in between these two chairs and both are pulling on your arms in each direction. Yeah. And, 3-week training trip. Hello, where have you been? You had lectures at university and you were missing. Like, we're going to unenroll you out of this class. So I was like, oh no. So it really took me 4 semesters or 2 years to really figure out my life. I mean, my entire college studies in Germany were like shattered. I don't know. I didn't know what to do. Actually, I applied to transfer back to University of Tübingen to move back in with my parents. I told my coach in Heidelberg I was going to quit swimming. And my plan B was, let's reach out to some coaches in the US and see what I can do with this. Because I really it was like, I'm kind of not ready to quit swimming. Maybe I can do something good with it. You know, maybe I do have a chance to get better still. And yeah, luckily I ended up at the University of Miami, and it was this, oh my God, this is how easy it is to combine swimming and college. And I did well in swimming and I did well in college, and I met my now husband. So everything went well. Didn't qualify for the Olympics, but that's okay.
Well, you gave it your best shot, so that's exactly what you needed to do.
Absolutely. My mom always said, you know, when you just packed your bags and flew to Miami, I knew you're either going to meet your future husband or you're going to qualify at the Olympics. And one of them became true. And so we can't complain, right? I
Exactly.
can't.
Exactly. It's given you a whole another life that you probably didn't even imagine.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's still, I don't know. When people ask me, it's like, oh my God, like, are you indefinitely in the US? I was like, no, I'm here because it works right now, you know, but I don't know where I am tomorrow, you know, like, I don't know. It just works right now here. We're comfortable, you know, and now, you know, kids are in the mix. So it becomes obviously a little bit more difficult, but they're adaptable. You'll be surprised. They're 5 and 7 now. And, you know, we can bring them to Germany and drop them off there in a camp, or we go travel, and they love it. So
Yeah, that's fantastic. Let's examine the kind of sessions you do. So you mentioned you're swimming sort of three sessions a week. Talk us through a typical session. What do you do? How far do you go? Do you swim short course yards or meters?
mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I swim at Dynamo Swim Club, which is one of the best youth swim programs actually in the entire nation in the US, with a stepchild with masters though. But we have fantastic facilities. So we have an indoor 25-yard by 25-meter pool. And then we say it's the outdoor pool, but it has a big bubble over it. So, and a permanent bubble over it. So it's a 25-yard by 50-meter pool. So right now is still yard season. So we're still set up yards. And at the end of the month, actually, we're switching to long course permanently, which means the lane lines just stay in. Sometimes over the weekend right now, the kids come in and change the lane lines to long course, but then they switch it back, obviously, before we come in. But it's fine because we have spring nationals coming up for masters. Yeah. How do my workouts look like? I train with a heavy triathlon group, lots of triathletes. Diamond Multisports is a very successful triathlon program. And it kind of depends on the coach, honestly, who's on deck and the crowd in the water. Because our coaches they're very good, and they come in and they kind of see who's there and adjust the workout based on that. Tuesday, Thursdays, because I'm there mainly, kind of is more IM because I love IM workouts. And if there's a lot of freestyle, especially with freestyle on the board, you will definitely hear complaint out of my lane. And I'm very known for that. And then when it's IM, everyone else is complaining, and that's okay, you know.
Right. Triathletes don't like IM, do they?
They don't, but then again, it makes them better swimmers, right? I always say, see, you did well this weekend because see, you did something else but freestyle.
Right.
Yeah, but that's why I can't even tell you. I mean, you know, we usually have an open warm up for 15 minutes. You know, master swimmers are. We do whatever we want, so people just come whenever they want. So the first 15 minutes is always you just get in whenever you get there and you start swimming. And then we have a preset, and then we have a main set. And then if time allows, we do usually a sprint set or a kick set and then warm down. And like I said, my favorite main sets are all IM. Like today was a good mix between, like, it was like a sprint said that I could swim IM. And that's the thing too. The intervals obviously dictate a lot of times if you can switch strokes. And I do that a lot, like even if it says freestyle on the board, but the interval is in a way that I can make it IM or I can make it breaststroke or even, you know, stroke free, then I will do that. So the beauty of master swimming, you kind of make out of it whatever you need to, or I move into a slower lane. Actually, I've done that before too, where I was like, I really need to do IM today, you know, and I can't make the fast intervals that my group swims because they're all going to go freestyle. So I'm going to move a few lanes down and swim with them, and I can get a good IM workout in.
Yeah, that sounds terrific.
Yeah.
What I was going to ask you, I noticed, I think you posted it on your Facebook. You just recently went to the USMS relay meet. Um, Now that's a bit of a difference. I know in the US, you combine all the master swimmers from the state that you're living in to create your relays rather than as a club base. Is that correct in saying that?
It can be correct. And yes, I went to USMS Relay. It's actually funny. It was a conference. It was called Relay. But I'll still tell you how relays are actually made up. So it wasn't a swim meet. Actually, it was a conference for master swimming, which was fantastic too. And I'm happy to tell you more about that as well. But yeah, relays I put together in the US. It depends how your club is registered with USMS. So you can register your club underneath the regional club. So for Georgia, it will be Georgia Master Swimming. And if your club is registered underneath Georgia Master Swimming, as soon as you swim out of state, so if I swim a swim meet outside of Georgia, I can swim relays with Georgia Master Swimming. But, and this is the but, because my team is actually like that. We're not registered underneath the regional team. So it doesn't matter where we compete. We always have to compete as the Atlanta Water Jocks, and we cannot compete underneath Georgia Master Swimming. And like I said, you know, you just join a team that either has that regional affiliation or not. It's your choice, and it's the club contact's choice if they want to register their team when they re-register it, usually in November, how they register the team.
Right. Okay. So it can be different for different states in America. Some would compete in their club and so on.
Absolutely. And the great thing is, I don't know how it's in Australia. You can join any kind of team. Yes. Like I can swim. I'm in Atlanta, but I can join a team in California if I want and compete for them. And then my times would count for California Masters records. So we have people like that too. Obviously, there's rules that, you know, don't allow you to jump teams too often without like sitting out for a specific amount of time. I think it's sometimes 60 days or even 90 days that you can't compete, to make it more difficult, because back in the day, obviously people would just switch every month, and it was like, oh, there's a meet in South Carolina. Oh, I'm just going to swim for a South Carolina team and break some state records. And then the next meet, I'm going to swim for a club team in North Carolina. And then the next meet, I'm going to swim for Virginia, whatever it is. So they have made it harder to jump teams, but it's still possible.
Right. Okay. That's really interesting, because yes, in Australia it's very much you swim under your club. Although we do have second claim. I don't know whether you do that in the US, but second claim. So often, if teams are going to say a world champs or something like that, and they don't have enough to fill out a relay, you can second claim onto another person's or another team, and still swim some relays. So it's probably slightly different, but comes out in the same sort of end result.
Yeah, it's kind of like the European system that I grew up with. Yeah, that they have the same system there.
Yeah. Okay. And how did you find yourself, or how did you get onto the USMS board?
The USMS board, yeah. I started actually locally. I started with the board of directors for Georgia Master Swimming, and the reason why is my parents are involved in governance, and my dad is a VP for FIBA World, which is the basketball federation, the international one. And he started on the state level and kind of just, you know, got more and more involved. And I saw the great difference that he can make in the sport. Really throughout growing up, like he's always been involved. And when I started master swimming, and I heard there's a board and it's volunteer run and you can have a voice and you can make the sport better by being involved, I reached out and I was like, hey, what is this? So I started calling in to the monthly meetings, which are open to every member, and started learning more. And I kind of got, I guess, volunteered to be on the board then. Someone was like, and what about her, by the way? And so I became an at-large member, and we got a new chair. Oh God, a new chairperson. I don't even remember how long ago, probably 6 years ago. And he got moved to California by his job unexpectedly. So he had to vacate the chairperson position fairly quickly. And then someone threw my hat in that bucket and was like, what about Britta? So yeah, for the last 5 years, I've actually been chairperson for Georgia Masters Swimming. And this is my second year now on the USMS board. There's an at-large position for each zone, and there were elections and people reached out to me and were like, hey, are you interested in running? And I was like, let me call some people. I'm busy. I don't even know if I can do this. So I reached out to a bunch of people, a bunch of USMS people that are currently on the board, that have been on the board. We actually have a past president in Georgia here, Rob Copeland, who told me a lot about the US Masters board. And yeah, I put my election package in and I got elected, and it was definitely a wild ride so far because of the pandemic.
Yeah.
Actually, last weekend, Denver was my first in-person board meeting since I joined the board. Everything was virtual so far. So it was just so odd. You know, you think you know these people, and I was like, oh, wait, yeah, we've never met in person.
Wow.
But it was great. And that's why I also loved being at Relay last weekend so much. Just also seeing my peeps, you know, like I said earlier, I love master swimming. I do it for the social part, for the connections that you make. And we finally had the opportunity again.
Yeah, that sounds great. And what role are you sitting in on that board? And does that go for a certain tenure, or is that something that just you have to get elected each year? How does that work?
Yes. So the USMS Board of Directors for the at-large position. So I'm an at-large director. They're 2-year terms for a maximum of 2 terms. So
Wow.
I have to get my election package ready for elections this September for the next 2-year term. That would be my second term. And then I have to sit out.
Yes. And can you go back on at a later stage, or are you out for life after that?
You can go back after sitting out for 1 term. So you can, you know, put your election package in again and hope to get elected.
It's good. Are you the youngest person on the board?
Currently, yes. But actually the girl before me that was the Southeast Zone at-large director, she was younger than me. And I think that's also why they reached out to me, because they really liked having someone younger on the board. And yeah, they didn't want to have another 60-plus-year-old. Obviously, they have time, you know, mostly they're retired. They can devote a lot of time to this, but it's also nice to have new blood and new perspectives.
Absolutely. Yes. Well, I'm glad that they've got your voice sitting on that committee, because I'm sure that you're bringing lots of vibrancy to it.
I hope so.
I think so. Like I like to ask all the swimmers that come on the podcast a fast 5 questions, just to you can say the first thing that pops into your mind. Favorite pool you've ever swum at?
Budapest, hands down.
Yes. Which pool? Because there's quite a few there.
The Juno Arena,
Juno.
the new one. Yeah, where World Championships was in 2017.
Yeah, fantastic. Do you like kick or pull?
Kick. I hate pulling. I never use my pull buoy ever. If it's pull, you see me pull paddles without a pull buoy.
I hear you. Favorite stroke?
Breaststroke. We're all a little weird. Breaststrokers are weird, but I love it.
I'm just, as an aside, I think it's really amazing that you were a backstroker and now you swim breaststroke, because I'm a backstroker and I cannot swim breaststroke. My knees, my feet just don't turn out. to do that?
It's so weird, even growing up. I remember when I joined the Olympic Training Center team, one of the youth coaches came up to me and she's like, Britta, you entered in the 50 back and 200 breaststroke. Those were my two races, 50 back, 200 breast. I can't tell you why, but it worked for me. Yeah, I don't know. Backstroke. I have so many events now. So I just, I'm fine without backstroke. I still have it in the IM.
You've got it in the IM. You must have such a strong IM. I look forward to seeing you race one day, because usually you see people with the front end or a strong breaststroke and they hold on for the freestyle. But it sounds like all of your 4 strokes are awesome.
My butterfly has gotten a lot better, I would say, over the years, especially, and that's the hard part, I had kids. I mean, I could barely swim butterfly, but for some reason, it just, I did a lot of core strength. So my butterfly has definitely gotten a lot better because of that. And yeah, I'm not sure my backstroke is as strong as it used to be. It was always like butterfly, I have to kind of like keep up. Backstroke and breaststroke, I go for it. And freestyle, I'm just going to give it my all and see where I end up. Yeah. And so that has definitely shifted a little bit to, hey, I can take out the butterfly, still relax. Like sometimes I overdo it. And if I do it in butterfly, I actually get slower. And then backstroke, I have to like fight for my life. And then breaststroke and freestyle, I can actually win this thing.
That's a great race plan. I like it.
Yeah, that's kind of like where I'm like, all right, now it's breaststroke and freestyle. And now I'm still good in the race here. I can look right and I can look left. And I was like, all right, they're not too far away. So yeah. Has definitely shifted over the years.
Yeah, I bet. And what's your favorite pre-race meal?
Oh, interesting. I'm actually not a big eater before races. I catch myself actually accumulating drinks when I'm in the car and driving somewhere, coming back. I think I have like 5 or 6 different bottles of something in the car. I like Diet Coke. Weird enough, I usually am not a soda or pop. I think you guys say pop in Australia, right? I'm not a big soda person, but I love Diet Coke at swim meets. It gives me a little bit of sugar, a little bit of caffeine, like the bubbly part, and then usually a protein bar. My stomach doesn't do too well with stuff right before a big meet.
Okay. And your favorite go-to training set?
My favorite go-to training set?
Oh, sorry, the internet's just dropped out a little bit. I can edit that out. Can you still hear me?
Okay. Yeah. Yes. Repeat that last question again. That's exactly where I broke up.
Yeah. Your favorite go-to training set? Oh, this is dropping out for some reason. I wonder why. Can you hear me, Britta?
Yeah, now it's much better again. Yes.
Sorry, I don't know why that dropped out. We've actually had quite a lot of flooding in Australia just in the past few
Yeah, I heard.
But I think it's affected the NBN. We've just noticed in the last 2 weeks that our internet's just been a little bit sort of in and out.
Okay, so just repeat that last question again. That's exactly kind of like I think where you can break and edit out.
Absolutely. And what's your favorite go-to training set?
Anything IM. I like some IM. I'm a sucker for IM. I can swim 4,000 IM in a training set.
So do you prefer to do hundreds, 200s, 400s when you're doing that?
Usually 200s, because it's kind of like the in-between, the hundreds. Yes, it's easier, but I think the 200s is definitely like the better practice. Here and there, I don't mind throwing 400s. I don't like the 400 IM, but world rankings tell me I'm actually not bad on the 400 IM once I swim it. So, but I don't train it. Like I really train for the 200 IM.
Yep. And do you do lots of broken swims when you're training for a 200 like that, or is it just the full 200 and you're focusing on a different stroke in each one? How does it work with your training in IM?
Yeah, I actually, since it is a freestyle program that I swim with, or mainly freestylers, I do a lot of stroke free and, the stroke hard, freestyle, just smooth. So um, it's not necessarily a lot of broken stuff, but it's definitely focusing on the IM stuff with some smoother stuff in between,
Yeah.
which really helps you push it. Or you have like a ladder, you start with today, for example, we started with 825s fast, 300 freestyle smooth, 650s fast. And I mean, fast was fast. It was slow intervals. The 50s, it was short course yards. The 50s were on a minute. So you could really go all out. Then another 300 freestyle. Then we had 475s fast, 300 easy, and then 3 100s fast. And obviously everyone swam the fast part freestyle. I actually swim it all breaststroke because I have a meet in a week and a half and I want to swim the 200 breaststroke well. So I was like, oh no, I should aim up my breaststroke a little bit more. So I've been really focusing on more breaststroke the last 2 weeks. Yeah, it's like last minute, right? 2 weeks, but it'll be fine.
It'll be fine. It'll be fine.
I'm a very mental swimmer. I always
Yeah.
say 20% practice, 80% mental.
Yeah. Do you have a certain routine that you use when you go out behind the blocks for a race in terms of your mindset?
Can you repeat that question? Sorry.
Do you have a certain way of approaching your mindset when you're heading into a race?
I try to stay relaxed. I'm more the person that kind of talks to everyone, I joke around before it. But I do also like to take my minute and then, all right, and now I'm here, I'm zoning in, but I don't like to be too much in the zone. It will drive me crazy. I think I'll get too nervous. But just the right amount. And I like to have fun. I mean, I'm doing this for fun, right? Like
Yes.
this is master swimming. Like we're not there to make an Olympic team. We're not there to earn money. Like it's my own money that I pay my way to Fukuoka or, wherever I go in the world to swim. So it should be fun.
Yeah.
And that's really what I focus on.
Yeah, I think that's why you're so successful because you obviously approach it with a fun manner. I mean, obviously you want to swim well and win, but your main focus is having fun and making those connections. And I think that that comes through in your swimming, obviously. That's a great way of
Yeah.
approaching it.
And I think, with master swimming, if I don't do well, I have no one else to blame but me.
Yeah.
And that's the difference to, college or when I was at the Olympic Training Center. There was a coach and there was really, there was a plan and you swam it. And that was this meet, swimming a specific time was the end goal. And I mean, I don't have that in master swimming. Like my coaches are great, but they don't taper me for a meet. I taper myself for a meet because I'm the only person, for example, going to spring nationals next month out of 100 people in the pool. So I get that they're not going to taper me. And that's a great thing because we have multiple pools to swim in. So I warm up with them and I just switch pools and I do my own thing. So I can only have myself to blame if I don't do as well as I want to, because no one else is responsible for this,
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great, yeah, it's a great way of thinking about it. I love it. Britta, thank you so much for joining us on the podcast today. It's been lovely to connect with you and hear all about your swimming journey, which is really unique. I've loved hearing all about it.
Thank you. It was so much fun talking to you. Thank you for having me.
Oh, you're so welcome. Well, take care and hopefully we'll get to see each other in Japan next year.
I cannot wait. Third time's a charm.
Yes, fingers crossed it goes ahead.
Absolutely.
Okay, take care then. Bye.
Bye.